Can you see the screen of R of T Rx is equal to 1 by S? Something, can you see that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, ma. Thank you. Thank you. So, what we are trying to do is we are trying to learn about the standard test signals which can be used in a control system. Okay, I think most of you must have known it in the quiz. That's what I have asked. And in signals and systems, in measurements, in transducers, in various subjects courses, you should have studied about them. Okay, but let me now reiterate it once with respect to the control systems. What is the significance of these test signals? For example, I want to test a system with an amplitude of say some 10 amplitude, 10 units of amplitude or 20 units of amplitude, and the type of the signal could be a sudden step type signal, or it could be a linearly increasing ramp type signal, or it can be a parabolic signal. I know the nature of the input to be given, and I have a system which has been modeled mathematically. So to test its performance, I should able to have these signals. Okay, how the system will behave if I give a sudden input of 10 volts. How the system will behave if I give a sudden input of 20 volts. A step input if I give, how it responds. How the system will respond for a linearly changing inputs, how it will respond. So all those things can be tested if you have these standard test signals. Okay. So step input, ramp input, and parabolic input. You know that step input can be represented by an amplitude A, okay? And this is represented generally as U of T, generally, but whatever symbol you can give, that doesn't matter. So this step in input is having an amplitude of 1 for T greater than or equal to 0, and it is having the output as 0 for T less than 0, okay? So this is the step input. Similarly, if you look at the step input, if it is defined as R of T is equal to A is the amplitude of the step signal for T greater than or equal to 0, and the amplitude is 0 for T less than 0. Okay. So then supposing that if I want to find out the, what do you say, if at all I want to find the Laplace transform of that, then it is R of S, which is given as A by S. Okay. So this is also known to you. But in case of amplitude A, if I take the amplitude as 1, then I call it as a unit step input. Okay. So whether I'm giving 1 unit or I'm giving 10 units, I'm giving A units, it is deciding the amplitude. So if the amplitude is 1, we say it as unit amplitude step input. Okay, or unit step. Similarly, you have another step in another test signal, which is called ramp input or ramp signal. The ramp signal, you can see the line linearly increasing. Okay, so it is having T versus R of T. R of T is the output. So the amplitude of the ramp may be A to A, etc. It linearly increases. Okay, and it is generally expressed as R of T is equal to A into T, where A indicates the amplitude. A can be A, it can be 2A, it can be 3A, it can be 1, it can be 10, it can be 100. So the function to be remembered is the ramp. It is the function T, which is governing the performance of the system. Okay, so it is a linearly varying system. So if the amplitude A is equal to 1, we say it as unit ramp. Otherwise, it is generally represented as A into T for T greater than or equal to 0, and ramp output would be 0 for T less than 0, which is unit ramp. Okay. Then again, if you look at the Laplace transform of it, which is called R of S, which is given by A by S square, because Laplace transform of T is 1 by S square. So Laplace transform of ramp is A by S square. This is also known to you. So you know unit ramp, you know the Laplace transform of unit ramp. You know the general ramp, and what is the Laplace transform of general ramp with the magnitude other than 1. Okay. Same is the case with the step. You know unit step, you know its Laplace transform, and you know the step with a different amplitude, and you know its response. Okay. Now coming to the parabolic input. So you know the shape of a parabola. So it is a parabolic input again with the T versus R of T. Okay. So in this case again, R of T is the function is expressed as 8 T square by 2. It is parabolic. So instead of having t, it will be having t square. Okay, a by 2 into t square. So which is t greater than or equal to 0, and it would be 0 for t less than 0. So parabolic input is a t square by 2. So whatever may be the value of a 10, 10 by 2 t square, 5 by 2 t square, something like that. So now your R of S would be a by s cube, because Laplace transform of t square. So 1 by s cube. Okay. Then you also know the standard signal, which is the impulse R of t is equal to a, t is equal to 0 at a particular point of time. At t is equal to a particular value, there only you will be having the amplitude. Otherwise, all the times it would be 0. So R of S is equal to 1. Okay. If a is equal to 1, that is unit impulse. In signals and systems, we would be using mostly this impulse. So remember, the standard test signals are the ramp, step, and parabolic signals, and their Laplace transforms and their expressions in the time domain is known to you. Now, when you consider any system, the system will be having a response. If you give an input, the system would be having a response, and the response or the output of the system could be having can be seen as two parts. So one is the okay. So one will be the steady state response, and the other one will be the transient response. Okay. If you consider a system, if you give an input and it gives an output, the output could be having the combination of two components. One is the steady state response, other one is a transient response. So what is the transient response? It's like this. Supposing that no group of students entering into the class and the teacher has not yet entered, so there will be a lot of noise. Okay, initially. So the moment that the teacher enters, also there will be a noise. People no, keep on talking, talking, talking. Finally, after some time, that noise will become zero. Okay, so that is a transient. That it will be there for some amount of time, and then finally it decays. Okay, and it becomes zero. But whereas the steady state response is a one, what happens is after the transient dies, okay, so it starts giving the response and it reaches to the final value and remains there. That means with respect to steady state, I can say that after the transient dies, that means after the sound of the noise of the students is zero, then the teacher started responding. The teacher started delivering the lecture, and maybe slowly it will be increasing, increasing, increasing. Finally, with a particular pitch and with a particular mode, the lecture would be delivered. So it is almost to the maximum value, whatever it can be delivered. Okay. So only remember that this is only to visualize that you have any system with a response which would be having a transient response and it would be having a steady state response. Transient response will die after some time. Initially, it would be there. There will be some transient, and the transient response will die off. After that, the steady state response comes and stays at the final value. It might reach the final value. It might not be reaching the final value. Okay. Similarly, in sometimes what happens is when you are traveling on your two-wheeler or four-wheeler, if you come across a bad road, then there will be a lot of jerks in the mode of transport, right? But that will not be always there. After some time, it comes to stable, because when you come to the main road, it comes to this no the stable condition. So transients would die off, and you are going on a straight path without any disturbances. Much of the disturbances won't be there. Okay, so that is what one has to know. So steady state response and transient response. Transient response will be dying after some time, and the steady state response will come to a steady state after reaching a final value. I can say that when we are returning the control system, steady state response is very much important, which will be leading you to the steady state error. Okay, what is the final value you have to reach, and what is the value you have reached? That difference is the steady state error. Okay. All the times I will be giving you an example. I have been giving you an example of an elevator reaching to the floor of your request, isn't it? So when I said I requested to go to the floor 2, when I reached to floor 2, my elevator platform and the floor 2 should be no aligned. That means the steady state error must be 0 there, or almost 0.1 But it can't be more than that. If it is more, then what happens? Platform will be down and floor will be up. Okay. Otherwise, the floor will be down and the elevator platform will be up. So it is not comfortable. It is very dangerous. So those type of things should be tested when you are designing any system. For example, for the elevator case only, the standard test input, I can take it with a step. Suddenly, if I give a request of step, the step 1, floor 1, then how it has to go. Okay. What should be the transient? What should be the steady state? When it goes to steady state, what must be the error? And I can also give a step input. I can also give a standard test input as a ramp. So linearly, if I'm increasing the speed, how the system is behaving. So depending upon this system of no, test, under test, we have to give different test signals and see how the system design will behave, how will be its response. All those things has to be checked out. Then coming to the systems, there is an important parameter called order of a system. Okay. When you talk about a system, you should know what is the order of the system. Okay. So in the first class, we have learned about the transfer functions. There are different ways of representing the transfer functions that we have learned, right? One is with the block diagram, one is the signifo, and there are different methods, time domain, frequency domain, differential equation, all those things, different ways it can be represented. So one such format is here is transfer function T of S can be represented as K into P of S by Q of S. This is one form of transfer function. Okay. So what is this? It is saying this is one form of transfer function which would be giving you K into P of S by Q of S. That means you have some constant K which is multiplying the numerator P of S, and it is also having a denominator Q of S. Okay. Right. Now, when you look at the denominator and the power of denominator, whatever is there in the denominator, the power of the denominator indicates the order of the system. Okay. So remember, this is also one form of a transfer function. T of S is given as K into P of S by Q of S, and the order of the denominator indicates the power of the denominator indicates the order of the system. For example, if Q of S, because it is an S domain and it is indicated as Q of S, let us say it is indicated in a form of A naught into S to the power of N plus A1 into S to the power of N minus 1 plus A2 into S to the power of N minus 2, so on and so forth up to a constant. How does it look like? It's like a polynomial of the order N. How is it? Supposing that N is equal to 4. It is A naught into S to the power of 4 plus A1 into S to the power of 3 plus A2 into S to the power of 2 plus A naught into the constant. So you have to keep on decreasing the powers, okay, from 4, 3, 2, 1 and a constant with S to the power of 0. Okay. So n is equal to 0. In case when n is equal to 0, it is a 0th order. When n is equal to 1, this is the first order. So what I would like to say is, if you have a transfer function which is having some P of S by Q of S, and if your Q of S is in the polynomial form, and the polynomial is of the order of S, it could be A naught into S to the power of N, and A1, the number in the A is increasing, whereas the power of S is decreasing by 1. You can say A naught S to the power of N, A1 S to the power of N minus 1, then A2 S to the power of N minus 2, so on and so forth. Finally go with A naught, where it would be having a constant with S to the power of 0. So n is equal to 0, the highest order. If it is 0, it is a 0 order. When n is equal to 1, it is a first order system. Okay. And what is the value of n? What is the significance of n? So the value of n, or the order of the n, gives the number of poles in the transfer function. So when you say take the control system has got two main components which are called poles and zeros. Okay. What is a pole? What is a zero? How is it contributing the stability? We'll be learning in a while. So in the coming lessons, we'll be learning it. But remember that there will be poles and zeros. Okay. Whatever is there in the denominator, let us say denominator is having S minus A. Okay. When you equate the denominator terms to 0, okay, S minus A is equal to 0, so S is equal to A. A is a pole. Okay. In case if your denominator is having S plus A, okay. So in that case, S plus A is equal to 0, so S is equal to minus A. Pole is minus A, right? So here you have to remember the order of the polynomial of the denominator, highest order of the polynomial of the denominator indicates the order of the system, and the order of the system indicates the number of poles the system is having. Okay. So now let us consider a first order system for a unit step input. Okay, the response of a first order system for a unit step input. Okay, the transfer function C of S by R of S is given as A by S plus A. A by S plus A. So if you compare it with your standard transfer function polynomial, whatever has been given here as of the form K into P of S by Q of S. K is equal to 1 here. P of S is A because S to the power of 0. Then Q of S is S plus A. Okay. So looking at the highest order, what is the order of the S in the denominator? You have to decide about the order of the system. Okay, this is a typical first order system. A by S plus A. It can be 10 by S plus A. It can be 1 by S plus 1, or it can be 4 by S plus 4, whatever it could be. It is of the first order system. Now, if the input to the system is given as a unit step, okay, let us say unit step R of t is equal to 1. You might think that why am I taking R of t? Why not I am taking U of t? Correct? The reason is very simple. Because for all the control system analysis, we have taken output as C and input as R. Okay, for our understanding, for our reference, easy, C and R are input, output and inputs respective. So when I am taking R of S in the Laplace domain, I can refer to the input as R of t in the time domain. So it's easy. If I say U of t, then I have to convert it into R of C, map it. All that is a confusion. Instead of that, whatever may be the input, R of t is equal to 1, that is unit step when t is greater than or equal to 0. R of t is equal to 0 for t less than or equal to 0. I can represent any label. Okay, any letter I can use it. But functionality according to definition must be the same. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is I have given you a first order system whose transfer function is given as A by S plus A, and whose response C of S is this, R of S is this. This is this typical thing. Now to this system, I'm going to give the step input, unit step input. That means I'm planning to give R of t as 1. If I'm trying to give R of t as 1, definitely R of S would be 1 by S, isn't it? So this is a typical system. When I'm trying to give a step input for the system, then it has to have R of S as 1 by S. Okay. So for a unit step input, what would be my C of S? My C of S would be R of S into A by S plus A, isn't it? My C of S would be R of S into 1 by S plus A. But I have written it as 1 by 1 plus capital T into S. Capital T is equal to 1 by A. For simplicity, I have written my equation like this. What is capital T? Capital T is nothing but 1 by A. Okay, how is it? Because A by S plus A, I divide entire thing by A. So A by A is 1, S by A plus 1, S by A. So 1 by A is T. So T into S. That's it. Okay. So C of S is R of S into 1 by 1 plus T of S. But what is R of S for a unit step input? It is 1 by S. So for a unit step input, my C of S would be 1 by S into 1 by 1 plus T of S. That's what I have done. So I have a transfer function available with me, and I'm asked to find out the step response, unit step response for this system. If that is the case, what I have to do? I have this. I have to find out what is C of S. C of S is nothing but R of S into A by S plus A. But R of S is the Laplace transform of the input, right? So whatever input I take, its equivalent R of S, I have to substitute it there. The system is demanding me for the unit step input. So let me take R of t as 1. R of S is 1 by S. Substitute it in this place. So it is 1 by S into 1 by 1 plus T of S. So when I simplify it, what I have to get? A by S plus A by S plus T using partial fractions. I would be getting the values of A and B. Then finally, when I simplify them, so you know this partial fractions method, right? Find out those things, find out A and B. Finally, you have to get C of S. C of S would be 1 by S minus 1 by S plus 1 by T. So this you have to get finally when you simplify using partial fractions. A must be 1, B must be minus 1. Okay, so this is your C of S. So what is the response of the system for the unit step input? It is C of t is equal to Laplace inverse of 1 by S minus 1 by S plus 1 by t, which is nothing but C of t is 1 minus e to the power of minus 1 by t. Okay, so this is a typical time domain response of a first order system for a unit step input. Okay, what did I do? I got a transfer function. I was given with a transfer function of a first order system, and I am asked to find out what is its unit step response. Okay, if that is the case, what did I do? I have just found the expression or rewritten the expression given C of S is equal to R of S into the function. Now it is intended for me to find out R of S for the unit step input. Unit step input, I know that R of t is equal to 1. So R of S would be 1 by S. Substitute it. It is a partial fraction. Simplify it. A by something plus B by something. Get the value of A. A is 1, B is minus 1. So substitute it there. I get C of S. So what is the response for the system? C of t, which is inverse Laplace transform, which is nothing but 1 minus e to the power of minus 1 by t. So remember, this is the typical response of a first order system, and the first order system time constant t is given as 1 by a. Okay. If I say that I have a first order system which is 4 by s plus 4. Okay. So can you tell me what is the response of the system in time domain for the unit step input? 4 by s plus 4 is C of S by R of S. Find the response of the system in time domain for a unit step input. If I ask you for a one answer question like a quiz, then you should able to recall 4 by s plus 4 is similar to a by s plus a. So it is like 1 minus e to the power of minus 80. So you can say that t is 1 by a, right? T is equal to 1 by 4. Capital T is 1 by 4. So you can put those values 1 minus e to the power of minus 1 by t. So t is nothing but 1 by 4. Why? Time constant was 1 by a before, now it is 1 by 4. So point minus 1 by 0.25. Okay, that should be there. So you can see the response of the system, first order system for the unit step input, putting different values of time 0, time 1, time 2, 1t, 2t, etc. You can be getting this as a response. Okay, so you can see that there will be some, there is not much thing. So it is going to final steady state value. This is the final value 1. The response is trying to reach to the final value, and there will be some error. It might not reach to the final value. At infinity, it might not reach. It might reach. So can you find the first order systems ramp response? Response of a first order system for a ramp. How do you go about it? First order system is given. For this, you have to find out the ramp response for a unit ramp. In that case, what you have to do? Again, C of S is R of S into this unit ramp. So R of t should be t. R of S must be 1 by S square. Then your function should be 1 by S square into 1 plus 1 by 1 plus t of s. So apply partial fractions and get simplified. Whatever you get, that would be your ramp response. Okay. So response of anything, you can get it by finding R of s of that and substituting it there. Okay. Now coming to the something called time constant. Time constant is the time taken by the step response to rise to the 63% of the final value. Okay. Suppose I have given the input as 100. Okay. What is the time taken for the step input to reach to that 100? So 63%. What is the time taken by the system to reach to 63% is the time constant. So generally, it is given by T is equal to 1 by A. For a first order system, time constant, that is time taken by the system to reach to 63% of the final value would be equal to 1 by A. Okay. So if it is 4 by S plus 4, it is 1 by 4. If it is A by S plus A, it is 1 by A. If it is 16 by S plus 16, time constant will be 1 by 16. Only the thing to be remembered is that whether the system is a first order system, looking at the template A by S plus A form, then it is a first order system. If it is a first order system, somebody has derived it and given as the time constant, that is time taken by the system to reach to 63% of the final value is 1 by A. So that is T is equal to 1 by A, that you have to remember. Then there is something called rise time, TR. Okay. For the first order system, rise time is given as 2.2 by A. Okay. So again, A can be 4, A can be 10, A can be 16, whatever value is given. I want you to know the time constant as 1 by A for the first order system. I want you to know the rise time as 2.2 by A for the first order system. Again, what is rise time? Rise time is the time taken for the output to reach from 10% to 90% of the final value. For example, I have to reach to 100%. Okay. Then what is the time taken for me to reach from 10 to 90? Okay. So what is the time it's taken is the rise time, which is given as 2.2 by A. So you know the time constant formula, you know the rise time formula for a first order system. And there is something called settling time, time taken for the output to settle within a particular error band. As I told you, no, after the transient errors dies, the steady state response tries to reach to the final value and settle down. Whether it is settling down within the plus or minus 2% of final value, or whether it is settling within plus or minus 4 tolerance. As I told, I have to reach to the second floor. Is it within plus or minus 2% of the second floor, or is it within plus or minus 4% of the second floor? Only that much is allowed. Otherwise, other than that, not allowed. Okay. So the settling time is that. So settling time is given as 4 by A. Okay. So plus or minus 2% means instead of 100, it can reach and stay at 0.98 or 98. It can stay. Okay. It can stay either at 98 or it can stay either at 102. So settling time is 4 by A. So what you have to remember in this class is what are the three standard test signals? What is the Laplace transform of those three standard test signals? What is the first order system typical template? What is the unit step response of a first order system? What is the time constant of a first order system? What is the rise time of a first order system formula? What is the settling time of a first order system? Okay. So remember those things and try to solve this problem. Find the response C of t for the system described by G of S is equal to 4 by S plus 4. Also find the time constant, rise time and settling time. So looking at the system, you should say that it is a first order system format. Okay. So now what it is asking? It is asking you to find the response C of t for the unit step input. How do you find out? R of S is 1 by S. So C of S is 4 by S plus 4 into R of S. Replace R of S with 1 by S, same as what we have done before. Try to find out C of t. Tell me what is C of t. Any one of you?
1 minus e power minus 4.
Correct. Then what is the time constant? What is A in this case? Actually, first you have to define what is A in this case compared to the standard format. What is the value of A?
4.
A is 4, isn't it? A by A plus S. So A is 4. So what is the time constant? Time constant formula is T is equal to 1 by A, isn't it? So what is the time constant?
0.25.
0.25 seconds. What is the rise time?
2.2 by 4.
2.2 by 4. How much is that? That is those many seconds. What is the settling time?
1.
4 by 4, which is equal to 1. This is a simplest thing which one has to remember. Okay, right? Have you heard about second order systems anytime? So there is a second order system, or the second order transfer function of a second order system. Generalized system is given as C of S by R of S is equal to omega n square by S square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. Please make a note of it. It has to be used repeatedly and you are supposed to know it and you should not forget it. Okay, it's like a mantra. So second order system transfer function is given as omega n square by S square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. Make a note of it. Where omega n is undamped natural frequency radians per second. Note down. Zeta is the damping ratio, which is the actual damping by the critical damping. Okay, zeta is the damping ratio given as a ratio of actual damping to critical damping. Okay, this is a second order system. So we have to find the response of the second order system C of t for the unit step input for the different values of zeta. Okay, the damping ratio. Damping ratio less than 1, damping ratio equal to 1, damping ratio greater than 1. Okay, which is called case 1 when damping ratio is equal to 0, which is called undamped system. Damping ratio is between 0 to 1, it is called underdamped system. Damping ratio is equal to 1, which is called critically damped system. And damping ratio greater than 1, which is called overdamped system. So these are the 4 types of second order systems possible having different values of zeta. If zeta becomes 0, it is undamped system. Zeta is between 0 to 1, which is called underdamped system. When zeta is equal to 1, it is critically damped system. When zeta is greater than 1, it is overdamped system. Okay, so the responses for all these conditions one has to know. So I'm giving you a task. Okay, refer to any of the textbooks, take the second order system and find its response for undamped case, underdamped case, critically damped case, overdamped case for the unit step input. Okay, how to go about it is nothing but when you put zeta is equal to 0, in this case is omega n square by s square plus omega n square. So this is the system. So C of S would be R of S into omega n square by s square plus omega n square. Put R of S is 1 by S, partial fractions. Do everything. You get inverse Laplace transform. Get C of t. That's it. Okay. Application of Laplace transform, application of inverse Laplace transform, applications of partial fractions. Okay. So do it and get those final C of t's for each of the case ready with you. I want you to know C and put the C of t for this, C of t for this, C of t for this, C of t for this for a second order system. Okay, that is the task I'm giving it to you for tomorrow and day after. Okay, in the next class, I might ask you something about this. I might ask you something about all these things in the quiz. Okay, so all these things, what is the type of roots? S1, S2, when zeta is equal to 0, what is this? Roots are purely imaginary. The system is undamped. So what is the nature of the roots? So okay, or case 2. The roots are this. The roots are real and equal and the system is critically damped. So in each case, what is the type of the roots and what is the system? What is the response? All those things I want. Please go through this either from this note what I have shared and you refer to any of the textbook. Find the a second order system response for each of the case and what is the nature of the roots. That is what is going to be the quiz on the Monday's class. Okay. So with this, I am just signing off. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Okay. Stop sharing it and you can exit.